Good afternoon, dear Magister. Now we are going to explain the topic 10 and 11, and we are the group number 4.
Importance of hypothesis in quantitative research. What is the hypothesis? It is an idea about a circumstance, phenomenon, or relationship that needs to be analyzed, which becomes the focus of an investigation. Function of the hypothesis: to improve the fairness and objective of research work, direct an investigation by defining the specific object of the research problem to study it, to help highlight data collection, focus on research. Its importance: contribute new knowledge or improve it within the research, facilitates theory building and confirms valuation, determines what is true or false. The objectives of the hypothesis in quantitative research: to determine what the research study is focused on, to select which research method to use the investigated, to decide which statistical test to apply to analyze the data. How to come with a hypothesis in quantitative research? 1. Start with a broad question. Clarify the question, gain focus. 3. Operationalize controls. 4. Observe and analyze the data. 5. Draw conclusions. 6. General return to the initial question. Hypothesis characteristics. It establishes a relation between variables. It must be stable. It is consistent with existing prior knowledge. It must be precise and concrete. Seven types the hypothesis. Simple hypothesis is the hypothesis that expresses the relation between variables, independent and dependent variable. Complex hypothesis. It is hypothesis express relation among more than two variables. Research hypothesis. Precise, clear, and detailed extent about the possible results of the scientific research study. Knowledge hypothesis is a hypothesis that expresses no relation between variables. Logical hypothesis is a hypothesis that can be verifiable logical. Statistical hypothesis is a hypothesis that can be verifiable statistical.
Now, hypothesis testing. Hypothesis testing can be defined as a formal procedure used in statistics to test whether a stated hypothesis can be accepted or not. It's divided in right hypothesis. The idea is to test whether the gathered data is relevant to either the alternative hypothesis or the null hypothesis. Create an analysis plan, determining how to read the result to see if the null hypothesis is true or the alternative hypothesis is true. Analyze the data. Is the moment of putting the analysis plan into practice. Interpret the result. The interpretation of the result to verify if the null hypothesis is valid or not valid. Next, please. Research design definitions. Plan of research methods, techniques, and strategies of investigation to get answers badly or objectively to research questions or problems under study. Characteristics. Neutrality implies that an analysis is free of partial of the research position of opinion does not affect it. Reliability is a way of evaluating the quality of the measurement procedure or method used to collect data. Validity refers to the degree to which a test measures that really is supposed to measure. Generalization is when the result obtained from a study can be applied to a population and not just a limited sample. Next, please. The function and the needs of research design. All the process success will basically depend on it, such as the body defining, analyze, and conclusions. Is divided name of the study design specific. It it's, for instance, cross-sectional, type of sampling method to be used, type of method used to collect data in the research work, and consideration of ethical issues. Next. Finally, it's a summary of quantitative research design. Are planning to be applied to large sample size of people focusing on amount of response to the questions, which are the same of all the respondents. Also, have two types of quantitative research design now, as experimental design and non-experimental design. And the type of the question is design is closed-ended with a limited option of answer. Thanks.
Important concepts concerning research design. Variable are those that given as a result are numerical values. The independent variable is one that doesn't change. Dependent variable is a variable that depends on other factors that a measure. Continuous variable is a variable that has a quantitative value. Non-continuous or discrete variable is a variable that has a quantitative value. Extraneous variable, it is a variable that isn't related. Predictable variable, which can explain or predict. Experimental error, anything that affects the developed variable. Control, minimize the effect of the extraneous variable. Confound the relationship between the dependent variable and dependent variable that is influenced. Research hypothesis, it is what the researcher is looking for, and that will be a new knowledge. Experimental and non-experimental hypothesis testing research is the action of testing research hypothesis. Control group is a group that is not exposed. Experimental group is the group that is exposed. An experiment is the process of verifying the hypothesis. How to plan an experimental quantitative research design. 1. It is required to formulate the research objectives. 2. Set up two different types of hypotheses, the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. 3rd, decide about how to test it and which experimental design to use with the hypothesis. This experimental design involves a group of participants. To choose suitable measures, people of similar characteristics are designed to groups through randomization. And finally, the results have to be analyzed. Advantage and disadvantage of experimental quantitative research design. Advantage. The main advantage of experimental research is the control. Manipulating. It is easy to identify the causes and effects and can be used in different fields. And finally, disadvantage, manipulating, bias, and it is not possible to put into practice an experimental and the cost of conducting the study. Thank you.